Hi guys. I feel almost like I have to sneeze, but I can't seem to, so I'm going to go ahead and start the video and let's just hope for the best. Um, Welcome to my channel. If you are a first-time viewer of one of my videos, excuse my messy office in the back. I am a full-time eBay reseller. That's what I do from home, so you can see all my camera setup, and then I have all the stuff that I need to get typed in. But this channel is very important to me. I feel like that it's something that's lacking out there. Very few people continue to talk about their grief path. On YouTube, you'll find a few people who make a video about the loss of someone, and then, because of how difficult it is, it just doesn't continue forward. And my husband and I are very committed to this channel. I know you haven't met him yet, but you will. And so I apologize for the length of time in between making videos. Right now, I am a full-time self-employed person, and so is my husband. So we have to, obviously have an income coming in first. And, but I appreciate you coming to the channel. Briefly, if you just are in an acute stage of finding out that someone you loved has died, or you're going through divorce, whatever your grief, whatever has caused your grief, this channel is not a substitute for getting help with, if you're having suicidal issues or thoughts. That is not uncommon when a sudden thing hits you. That's very understandable. There is a phone number below. Please use that resource. And also, I have some counseling information, or some contact information for some counseling if that's something that you feel like you need. I am just here as a normal person who had a tragic loss in my life, in our family's life. Our son Tim tragically passed away from epilepsy at 23 years old after a 10-year battle with the disease. And so there's my introduction. What I wanted to talk about today is that you have to do actual things to be able to get forward in this process. Um, I don't want to repeat myself every video. I don't use the words get over it because, even a divorce, I don't care if you're remarried and 10 years down the road. That isn't anything that's happened to me. I've lost my child, but even that, I would think that there would be times you would look back and, 10 years ago you were married to a totally different person, and then tragically something happened in the marriage. I still would think, even in something like that, that is different than death, even having lost a dog 10 years ago, I don't wake up every day thinking about that previous dog, but I do once in a while. It'll go through my head, oh yeah, I miss Dusty. That's really sad. I miss him. So whatever the grief is, let alone when we're talking about death, of a loved one, I do think that this is something that will stay with you for the rest of your life at some level. And we want that level to be manageable, and we still want to have happy, contented lives following a loss. And that's really what I teach on this channel. I teach that there is a path, a very difficult path, not a fun path, not a path that I wish on anyone. Believe me, I try not to have enemies. I hope I don't, but if I had an enemy, I would hope that I would not wish this on anyone. Because the path is a full-time job. It is a full-time emotional, mental job to move forward. But I just wanted to share briefly two things that we did, and I have many, many things that I've done. I've talked about working out. I've talked about things that help me get through a single day. But sometimes you have to do big things, just big things to feel like you're moving your path forward. Even starting this channel for me was one of the big things that I said, okay, this grief is horrible. I can't imagine really that I have a whole lifetime to face, however long my life is. I'm 53. I can't imagine that I might, be here 30 more years and just, my son is gone. There are so many times, friends of his are getting married. We've talked about these things on my other videos. But I'm a big believer in sometimes you got to do um dram- dramatic things to propel yourself forward. And I think my husband's coming down, so I texted him telling him I'm making a video, but sometimes he doesn't get his text. So anyway, um so there are several things that I wanted to talk about moving forward. So the first thing is to try to help others, that whatever uh, way that is. I do a lot of things in my church. I try to be available there, and that helps me. Yes, I'm hopefully not doing it out of selfish reasons, but it does actually really impact my life and help me when I'm doing something for other people. Same with this channel. I hope whatever little bit of help you get from it, it helps me, makes me feel like I'm at least trying to help someone else, right? And but there are other things, there are more selfish things that I've done that I think really have helped me a lot. So I'm gonna smile. See my braces on my teeth. Sounds dumb, right? Sound like, why would you go get braces? How does that have to do anything with your grief? Well, you have to understand, and this is kind of a graphic story, but when you have epilepsy like my son did, he would often break teeth. And then he wouldn't remember the next day. So I would come down. This is my office now, but it was a family room when we were raising our children. And there was one incident where I came in and there was something on the floor. You know, something. And I picked it up and I realized that he had broken his teeth and gone back to bed, had a seizure, gone back to bed, went in, looked at him, sure enough, broken teeth, you know. So off to the dentist again, and it happened at least twice that, you know, we had to have his whole front smile and everything rebuilt. And when your kid is sick, you do what you need to do for your kid. You ignore yourself, because if the money has to go to his dentistry and his braces and his everything, then that's what any good parent does. And you can't tell now, my teeth with the braces, you know, obviously you can't tell anything about my teeth. But before, I had very, very yellow teeth. At the age of 14, I was just sure that my two front teeth weren't cute enough. So I had put these veneers on my two front teeth. And, you know, this was 30 years ago. Veneers weren't what they are today. So they had gotten yellow and they were thicker. You know, the veneers were really thick. So my two front teeth just kind of had this thickness to them. And it was fine. I'm not an appearance person. Honestly, I really don't care for the most part. I'm a pretty casual person. I thrift shop for all my items, my clothing, because that's what I do for a living. So everything I own is thrift shopped. So I'm not a vain person at all. But my teeth did really bother me. You know, it's the first thing people see, and you go to talk, and when you have yellow teeth, people make all kinds of assumptions, you know, former smoker, current smoker, you know, like, just do you bother to go to the dentist? You know, they don't understand that veneers can't be whitened. So even if I had had the money, which I didn't back then, um, you know, my teeth were yellow. And so it just kind of affected me. I didn't really think about it because I had a sick kid. So I would take him to the dentist, get his teeth cleaned. They would remark on how I needed braces, how I needed my wisdom teeth out, how I needed all this stuff. And of course, I'd be like, yeah, thank you very much. You know, kind of can't afford that right now. And I just hated the trips to the dentist. And so after Tim died, and you know, the medical bills took forever to go away. I still kind of have some residual stuff that, believe it or not, from just, you can't have 10 or 12 years of acute medical bills coming in, ambulance bills, you know, teeth being broken. You can't have that and then recover in a couple of years. So even though my son's been gone 4 years, and even though we were thankfully able to pay cash for the funeral and people gave us some things, and, you know, we were able to do that, we still are working our way out of debt. And that is why the things I chose to do were incredible, because I really didn't have the money to do them. I shouldn't be doing them. They were steps of, I guess you'd say, steps of faith, or just steps of desperation to tell myself, this is going to get better. This is going to change. I will have a good life in the midst of having lost a child. I will still celebrate other things, other people. I'll celebrate what good I can find. you know, I'll make as much good out of my life, what's left of it, out of the shambles of it. And when I say shambles, I mean, I'm talking about you lose a child, he's sick for 10 years, you've got that grief before he ever died, then he dies, then you have no money, not a dime to your name, literally, and you owe people because of all the bills. I'm really honest on my channel because I know other people are in the exact same boat. I'm not just putting myself out there for no purpose. I don't need sympathy. Don't message me, or you don't have to message me and tell me you feel sorry for me. Don't, because I'm okay. I mean, but I just know there's someone else who is in the current midst of it and hasn't had 4 years like I have to kind of process all of it. And even though I process it, I still have my days. I'm just like, how in the world did my husband and I end up here? How did we end up here? How did we end up with, um, you know, even struggling at all? We have, decent jobs. How did this even happen to us? So anyway, after Tim passed away, I waited a year or so, and then, I just decided it was time for me to do some things. So the first thing I did was, or not, I wouldn't say it's the first thing I did. It's one of the 2 or 3 things that I did. The first thing we did was, I got braces. So, I went, and this was 2 years ago, going on 2.5 years ago now. So it was about a year and a half after my son had died. And I, just found the money. I worked harder. I worked extra hours. I worked more overnights as a nurse. And then I kept my business here going. Now I do my business full time, but I was a nurse at the time. And I just found the money, and I paid cash for the whole thing. It was like $200 a month plus some cash up front that I just didn't have, but I found it and I made it. And it's been kind of a silent statement that other people don't see. They don't understand, oh, well, she's 52 and 3 and she's got braces on her teeth. Okay, that's interesting. They don't understand that I was told when I was 30 something that I needed braces, but I had a sick kid, so I didn't do it. So for me, this is regaining ground that I lost, or or it's doing something that I was told 15 years ago would help my life, and I couldn't do it, and I couldn't do it, and year after year and day after day I had to keep denying myself for the sake of helping, my son, and just getting through that. And so it's really, I hope it's a small testimony to you to do something like that. um am I happy, or, yay, my son's gone now, so I have money to go fix my teeth? Yeah, that, I think, no. I would give it all up. I would go back to yellow teeth. I would go back to no teeth. I would go back to anything, obviously, without even saying it. I'm sure I don't have to say it. This is not a celebration of, yay, I could finally have my dental work. It's, okay, I can't have that life anymore. My son's gone. Can't have that. There's no fixing that, right? But I can fix what I can fix, and this is the little piece of my life, my teeth, my little tiny piece of my life, where I can gain some control. I can gain, um something that, out of all that, I'm just gonna start getting some gains on my side. And if you haven't watched my video on the dual process method of grief, please watch that. And actually, you don't even have to watch my video. Go study the dual process method of grief, because it's been the most helpful thing for me. And the reason why is this kind of thing. It teaches you that you can't have that life back you wanted. That is gone. So that good life that you wanted isn't going to reappear. It's going to be different, but it can still be good. It's not going to be maybe that good, because, when you lose a child, that person is gone, and a whole person doesn't just disappear, and then you have this life over here, and you're like, oh, well, I have some more friends who are young, kind of like Tim was, so now it's great. No, that person's never, ever replaced. But I am determined, based on what I've read, and just based on what I feel is the most, not even the most positive, just the only way to deal with this kind of grief, honestly, and not just stay in bed all day and be depressed. The only way that I have found from reading and studying people is to have this good life over here, this different good life, not the same good life, but it's a good life. And I have a very good life right now. I do. Still have some residual debt from my son being sick. Just now having braces at 53 years old. I can go on and on and on. Can't even tell you how much on I can go. Um, my life is still very difficult because those 15 years of my son being sick and then dying and going through grief, those things don't just evaporate and all of a sudden you're rich and famous and happy and everything's good. So it will take years to unwind the lack of investment that we did. You know, my husband and I are savers. We're cheap. I mean, I'm a thrifter. Like I said, we're cheap. We save. We don't go spending just tons of money on dumb things. We've always had that belief system, but it was not enough. I should have been actually working, saving less, but just like focus more on work. But instead, I'm a thrifty person and I'm home cooking, you know, and double couponing, and nothing wrong with that. That would have been fine. That would have worked out fine. But with my son's illness, it just didn't work out the way it should have, because we needed mass amounts of money to go toward that debt. And that's another video I'll do someday, is should you declare medical bankruptcy or shouldn't you? I wish I would have. That's a long story, but I should have had no guilt over that debt. It was not. I had insurance, you know, I won't defend myself, but I did everything a person could do to not end up in this situation. But I feel like, number one, getting these braces, it was one of the first statements I made, that I was determined over here, no matter what my life was like in the past and how good it was when I was raising my young children. And I thought we had a lot of fun, you know, at least for my husband and I, we thought it was fun. Our kids, you know, who knows, they probably think we're old and quirky, but we had a lot of fun, and it was the time of our life. And I want to also make this, though, the time of my life. I'm blessed to be able to help my mom. She's going through some things, you know, she's 74 and widowed now, and I'm blessed to be able to spend a lot of time with my mom. I still have my mom alive, so I'm very thankful, and my dad too. He's not going through grief or anything right now, but I'm thankful to have him alive. And so I have all this time now to have with my parents, and that's a blessing. It's a different blessing, but it's a blessing. And so do something for yourself. So number one, what I did that was really radical for me, because money was tight. I mean, my whole life is defined the last 15 years by, can I do that? Should I do that? How am I going to do that? But I got braces. April 5th, oh, I got to prepare myself because oof, April 5th coming up. It's 8 days away, 9 days away. I get these braces off, and I'm just trying to prepare myself not to go into the dentist like this. Like, they know I've lost a child because someone there asked me how many kids I had once, and obviously it was like a year and a half after, and I just broke down, because I break down all the time, obviously. And so they know, and that person told me, you know, that their sister had died at a very young age, and, you know, that was the sibling that was, you know, working there, and we had our moment, you know. And so they're very aware, but I don't think they're aware what it means to me to have followed through on something. You know, when you're grieving, you think you're doing better, and so you join something, and then you just can't follow through. At least in my case, this is all about me. This is my, you know, achievements and my failures. But, you know, I would join something and I think, I'm good, I can do that now. And then I realize I really couldn't. I wasn't strong enough. You know, I can go back to work after 2 weeks, and I'm going to just do the same job I've always done, and I'm going to just be the same person I always have. And I realized I wasn't. I had changed. I couldn't stand around and make small talk with people anymore. I struggled, you know, at work. I think I was just kind of in a fog. And those kinds of things. So this is one of the first things that I've done, and I followed all the way to the end. And it's kind of hard once you get braces on your teeth. I guess it's kind of one of those good things. Like, you can't, I guess you could, but I'm not going to go in and ask them to take them off halfway through. But I wanted to. Like, I didn't bring my package of rubber bands down, but it isn't the braces. The braces I had as a kid too, but I've had to wear rubber bands in 4 places for literally about a year and a half of having the braces. And I don't want to get graphic and show you my dirty teeth, but um, it's an every night and day thing. Now, don't tell my orthodontist I skip the day a lot. I'm sure he can tell, because it probably took longer. I don't wear my rubber bands during the day a lot. I snack too much. I eat too much, right? But at night, I have been faithful. I can probably on one hand the number of nights in 2.5 years I have not wore my rubber bands. Don't tell him sometimes I was too tired to even brush my teeth. I just put the rubber bands on. Gross, I know, but hey, grieving takes so much time. Grieving anything, let alone a child, it takes your time. You're just trying to be well, right? All of you watching this, if you're watching this, you understand that. I don't have to tell you that. So, but I followed through, even in the midst of, sorry, my puppy's barking out there. That's one of the things that I did to improve my life. But anyway, now it doesn't seem like it's an improvement because he barks a lot. But anyway, so anyway, I'm really proud of myself. I'm on April 5th. I'm going to be very proud of myself that I wore those rubber bands every night in the midst of what I was going through. And, now I can bite, because it really wasn't about just the vanity of it. My teeth just didn't meet in the back, and so I couldn't chew a lot of foods. And so I'd be out with people and you're crying because you're grieving anyway, and then you're like gnawing on your food, and it just wasn't a pretty thing. But anyway, I'm very proud of myself. Coming up, April 5th, 2-hour appointment. I'm going to get all this stuff scraped off, and I have my teeth cleaned all the time because of just the feeling of never getting them clean, but they aren't. I mean, when you have braces, no matter how good the person does, it just doesn't feel right. So I'm very proud of myself. The number two thing we did. And again, these are all things that kind of cost money. I'm going to talk for a minute or two about things that don't cost a lot of money that I do. But number two, in 2020, you can see a picture here. Another way that I determined myself to just come over here, that life can't happen anymore. The good life over here can happen though. And I went to Australia to see my brother, and I paid cash for that. We saved. Yes, we didn't pay our other debt off as fast as we should have, but we did pay complete 100% cash for this trip. And it was kind of me saying, that other life, I've still got residual, from my son's illness and his death. And I am going to face that slowly. But right now, I'm going to pay cash. I'm going to go do something for myself. This is my lovely, wonderful husband. And that's me holding a koala. I'm sure you can figure out. But my brother has lived in Australia for basically, I don't know, 10, 15 years. But we couldn't go. We couldn't afford to go. We had a sick kid. I didn't want to leave him. I did not leave the country when my son was sick because I knew that coming back, if he had a seizure, my oldest son was getting old enough. He could have handled it. We could have traveled those last 5 years. My middle son was sick because my oldest son is very responsible, and he could have handled it for a couple days to get here. But we had already had experiences where we had gotten calls and Tim was in ICU and they said he has no brain activity. That happened 3 years before he actually did die. And so I was too frightened, there was no way I was going 2 days away by airplane, and leaving my son in the country by himself, because I knew that the call could or maybe would come. I just kind of always felt anxiety about that. And but I didn't miss the travel. I didn't wake up every day, woe is me, I can't travel because my son's sick. It just didn't enter my mind. We were in work mode. We were in take care of Tim mode. And I don't regret that. And I think that we did the right thing. But now that Tim is gone, and that style of our life, caregiving and all that wonderful time we did have with our son, even though it ended up tragically, we had hours and hours with our middle son, and we did the right thing, and we're proud of ourselves for that. But now I'm rebuilding this good life. I'm rebuilding what I can rebuild now. I can't rebuild that, but I can rebuild over here. So we went to Australia, and we had a wonderful time, and took our other two kids. They paid for themselves, because they're very hard workers, and so it wasn't a huge financial thing. And then we all shared an Airbnb, so it really wasn't as expensive per person as you would think. It was like $125 for a whole week or 2 weeks of the Airbnb. I think it was like $800 for 2 weeks, and there were like 6 or 7 of us. So, it ended up not to be that much. And then the flight, of course, we tried to get deals and all that. So anyway, that was number two, is I went to Australia. I did something that I never could do before. it just wasn't a part of my past life, and I made it a part of my new life. And we will be going back again. I might even go this summer. My mom, because of COVID, couldn't travel to see my brother in Australia, and Australia is one of the biggest lockdown countries. And so it's just now freeing up. She hasn't seen her grandchild in Australia for going on 4 years. And she doesn't want to travel by herself because she's 74. So I might go again. And I think of Tim when I'm doing these things. I wish I could still have that back. I really do. But I can't. So I'm going to go to Australia and I'm going to do what I can do. And number 3, and this video is going on too long. I'm sorry about that. Number 3 is we did get a dog. It sounds dumb to most people. Some people have had dogs their whole life. We have, but then Tim was sick and we were constantly in Denver going to Denver Children's, and then we just had so many bills. I truly could not afford a dog. For about 10 to 15 years of my life, I could not get a dog because if he would have gotten sick, it would have just been just another bill. And dogs do, get sick. And I can't not help a dog. If I own a dog and he gets run over and hurts his leg, I'm going to pay to fix that leg. That's just who I am. So I could not even think of, oh, what happens if this dog needs something, and I just couldn't afford it. So we did get a dog. We, can't have that back, but we can have this over here. So now we have Frodo, and I should have had a picture of him, but you'll see him in a future video. He's a great little Aussie, mini Aussie Shepherd and some kind of hound, something. But he's going on 2.5 years old. And so within that period of time, I did 2 or 3 really big things about 1.5 years or 2 years after my son died. And I do believe that they propelled me forward in my grief process. I believe that they kind of did what that dual process of grief says, where you create new memories that don't involve the loss. So if you're going through a divorce, you create new memories, not go out and make a fast decision on a new person. Don't do that, please. But you travel, maybe even by yourself, maybe with just one of your children, maybe something little, but you do something that you could not do with that previous spouse. And I do things I could not do with my son when he was alive. And so the reason it works, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, the reason that dual process method of grief, the reason it has helped me so much, I shouldn't say it's the only choice, because it certainly isn't. I'm going to try to study other methods, but of course time is always short. But the reason that I think it works for me, and the reason that it makes sense, and what really triggered it for me when I read about it, is that when you wake up in the morning and you've lost something, it's not that you want to avoid thinking about the loss, but you want to give it its segment of time, and then so that you don't waste your life and the rest of the time you have and everyone else around you, their life. The reason it works is because now when I wake up, I do think of my son Tim. Sometimes he'll flash the minute I wake up. The first thing sometimes will be, oh, Tim's gone. That does happen to me still. It doesn't happen as often as it used to be because I work. I have a lot of things going on in my life, but it does happen. But sometimes I wake up and the first thought that goes through my mind is, oh yeah, remember that in Australia? Remember that thing? Sometimes, and probably very often when I wake up, my dog is right there. He's in bed with us, and I wake up, oh, hey, Frodo, how you doing, buddy? We got to go on our walk, And even if Tim drifts in throughout the day, which I want him to, I want memories of him to come in. I don't want to push those out. Even if they come in, it's not first thing in the morning, all day, every day, grieving, deep grieving. You lost your child, you lost your child, you lost your child. He's not coming back. He's gone. He was sick. It was a devastating illness to watch. All these bad things. I can't go forward with that kind of stuff in my mind, because that was in my mind. Believe me, I was like trudging through snow and sand during that time when our life was that hard and we had just lost our son. And now I can wake up, have good memories of my son, try to focus on the better memories. Don't focus on the debt. Don't focus on his death. Don't focus on the times in ICU when when we were told he wasn't going to live. Now over here, I can focus sometimes, a lot of times, on my dog and my trip to Australia. And even now, you know, in 8 days, I have something to look forward to go get these braces off and be proud of myself for having accomplished something that I just never thought was going to happen. I thought I could ever get done. And so I just want to leave you with that. I hope that you can think of something for yourself. And I've done a lot of little things, you know, I've done just a lot of little tiny, you know, much less expensive things. These are expensive. Even getting a dog is an expensive thing. So try to think of things. I will try to, you know, leave you with some more less expensive things that I do for myself. Not pampering, because that never worked for me, but just things that give me good memories, to kind of counteract some of the trauma and some of the things I've been through. But I hope you think of something. I hope it motivates you to just take that dive and start over here rebuilding that good life that wasn't possible over here. Sorry, something fell and it scared me. I have eBay stuff everywhere, so sometimes my piles cave over. So that's another story. But anyway, guys, I'm praying for you. I'm wishing you just a really good day. I know that's hard when you've lost something. You're like, how on earth can you wish me a good day? Maybe I'm just wishing you just one part of your day today that you will, for a minute, it's okay. It's okay to grieve this, but it's okay in that dual process, that method of grieving, where our goal is to be over here, where these are fond memories now. We want these to be fond memories. We don't want the memories to go. We just don't want all the pain every single moment of our life. So come over here and do one thing today, or start planning something. You know, it wasn't just a trip to Australia. It was the months and months of planning and anticipation. It gave my brain some rest to not be grieving all the time and to come over here, and it gave me some rest. And then petting the dog and taking the dog for walks, it gave me a break from all of this. And so I hope you find something. Let me know below what you have done, because I need more ideas. You know, I can't go to Australia all the time. I can't get braces on my teeth again. I don't really need 10 dogs. I need more ideas. What do you do that moves you over here to recreate this life that you're trying to have? Thank you for listening, guys. I hope it helps someone. It certainly, it helps me just to kind of, you know, talk amongst ourselves. So anyway, guys, have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.